What's going on, Bruce Batman Moyer? How you doing, sir?
Oh. What's going on? I'm doing very well. Thank you, Angelo. What's going on? Listings, buyers, and trying to maintain the fort and make certain that everyone goes to settlement.
I gotcha. I hear you, my man. So, Bruce Moyer with Aspire Beyond Limits, powered by EXP. I have had the honor and pleasure of knowing you for, gosh, Bruce, it's probably been 17, 18 years.
We're really close to 20 years there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've known each
it's
other quite some time.
quite some time. And we've been through ups and downs. So I appreciate you being on with me. I value your expertise,
Likewise.
your knowledge in the business, because you basically over your in your tenure, you've basically written the real estate, North Carolina real estate exam. So anyways, I wanted to ask you, I want to talk to you a little bit about when it comes to getting licensed in real estate. First, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and all your good stuff. So go ahead.
Nothing really to say, Angelo, other than Bruce Wayne Moyer. My parents did me in 1967, named me Batman. So that's the Batman signs behind me. I've used it now like crazy in my adulthood because people can remember me and then remember their educator of their choice. I teach pre-licensing, post-licensing, CE all across the country. I have opened up my own school, Aspire Beyond Limits, and am doing that full time. And really, also am working towards providing some non-fee education. So I'm going to put out some free education out there, just about things on how to start up your own LLC or your own S corporation, things like that, and then how to build your own business and how to have a business plan in real estate and
Nice.
stuff like that. How do you track all of your financial goals that you want? Things along those lines. And then I'm offering tutor services, mentoring services, and all that kind of stuff. So I
I
enjoy it and
gotcha.
I love it. I love it, love it,
Well,
love it,
good
love it.
stuff.
Yep.
So, some questions that you've probably
Get all the
that
time.
I wanted to ask you when it comes to real estate.
Sure.
Give me some common misconceptions when somebody wants to get licensed as a real estate agent.
Everyone thinks that they can do it because they know somebody who has their real estate license. And so they're like, why is this class so hard? They got their license and they're not very bright. Why do you mean I'm having a struggle with this? Um, Everyone perceives that whomever they've encountered and whoever they have worked with, that's the typical and standard realtor or licensee. Not all licensees are realtors. So that the typical real estate agent is whomever they can bring up at the top of their hat. And they think, well, I'm smarter than them. My IQ's got to be way higher than that. So this class will be a breeze. Well, it's not a breeze. It's pretty hard. Angelo, it's 75 hours in North Carolina. Should be a little bit longer, but law won't let us. But it's as many hours outside that classroom that it is inside the classroom that you need to study and take a core piece of it. You don't have to know everything, but who's going to tell you what's on the test? Well, nobody. So you have to take a good chance of knowing all of it.
Right.
It's like drinking from a fire hydrant. And, you imagine it's only 5 weeks if you do full time, 9 to 5, 9 to 5. Most schools do 2 days a week. So 5 weeks, 2 days a week, 9 to 5. And you're going strong at that pace. And then you need to spend just as much time preparing for the next class and getting your goods in order so that you can retain it in your long-term memory. The most difficult thing I think people have is that idea that because everybody else has their real estate license, that they can get their own. And it's a real struggle for many people. There's many people who take the test multiple times. And many of them think that the test questions are, you're just trying to pick hairs out of me. You're just trying to nitpick them. Well, no, we're not trying to do any of that. We're not trying to trick you, not trying to do anything of the sort. What we're trying to do is just to discern. Think about it. The real estate commission has to discern whether you and me are capable of looking at a contract, understanding what that contract says and what it means and what are the implications to it. And then we have to be able to turn around and say, hey, stranger, somebody that we're representing in a transaction, hopefully through an agency agreement, that here, this is what it means to you. And in order to do that, you've got to get pretty skilled at some test writing items, creation. And so, yeah, I did that for 4.5 years as director of education and licensing at the Real Estate Commission in North Carolina. And I'm glad I did it because it's phenomenal and I love doing it. But most people hate it when I say, I wrote that exam. Don't say too much about it. But they do. They really come at me. Why'd you make it so tricky? It's not tricky. You have to read every word carefully. And that's what I do on the test. Because if they don't do it in the real life, they're harming the client. So we've got to discern who has that ability and who doesn't have the ability. And so typically when I meet with tutoring students, I start telling them that, and then they get it. Okay, so you're not trying to trick me. No, I'm trying to make certain that you have the details down and you understand the implications about what's going to happen, because one slight word changes everything. And you have to attune your head to it. And a lot of people aren't used to doing that. Reading something and then discerning what that really, what that word is. It doesn't help that we have 3 words for one thing: a broker, full
Right.
broker, a non-provisional broker. And so those all mean the same thing, but you've got to get used to that in the whole scheme of everything, and that takes people some time. So I think that people have that misconception that they're going to be able just to pass it like everybody else did. Well, not everybody else does it on the first time.
So do you think, I know for mortgage, right?
Yeah.
You get taught a lot of law and
yeah.
Regulation X, Reg Z, TILA, RESPA, HMDA, all that stuff, right? But then when you actually get out into the mortgage world, they don't really teach you how to do mortgages, right? So structuring mortgages, loan programs and products and things like that. Is there anything in the curriculum when it comes to getting licensed as a real estate agent? Are there things that are talked about when it comes to when you get in the free world, when they unleash you, or is that something that you provide in some of your training after with licensing?
Most people say that they leave their pre-license course. Let me say, people before me and people who have not been to any of my classes, they say this. They say, I just had to learn what I needed to learn to pass the test. I really didn't know anything when I graduated or had my license because I hadn't done it yet. Well, that all depends on who the educator is and how they present the information to you. I choose to do that from the very beginning. Is why do you need to know this? Where's it going to come into play with you? And when you get out of this class and you have your license, you need to come back and remember this. And so if you do it with some strong application and the reason why they need to know something, people are far greater and more likely to retain it. So for example, water rights. A lot of people say, I don't remember anything from pre-license on my water rights. Well, I just looked at them and said, shame on you, because water rights can make a deal and could break a deal. For example, I had a commercial agent that was selling land, and he was doing extremely well. And there was a problem with a creek that ran right through the commercial property. And he remembered pre-licensing with me. And he said, oh, all right, let me text Batman for a second. And so he texted me and he says, riparian water rights, right? All the state of North Carolina, and if the water flows through the property. And I said, why are you questioning your education? You've got that down. That's perfect. Excellent. Way to go. He said, thank you. I appreciate it so much. He turned to his client, and that client made an offer right there because he knew that answer.
Right.
So I think it's partly, how applicable do you think it's going to be? It's as applicable as your memory gives it to you. Right. But then when you get caught with not knowing something, you're going to go back and look at that book and do it again. So I think pre-licensing has the capability of being very impactful in their real life business. Post-licensing, even more so, because that post-licensing is nothing but examples. It's about how do you do this in the real world? So North Carolina has 75 hours pre-licensing, and then they come up with 90 hours post-licensing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you take 3 courses, 30 hours each, and they're all in agency, contracts and offers and contracts, and license law and commission rules. And so knowing all of those things together collectively really does give you the skill set once you have your real estate agent's license to perform really well in North Carolina.
Nice.
But you have to choose your educator carefully, dude.
Yeah.
Carefully, because that's the key. That's
right.
the key. The person who makes it applicable for you. I know several of my colleagues that don't do it. They just teach whatever the commission says is on the syllabus, and that's it. And
that's it.
Yeah, I think there's more that we can do as educators, is to help people make more money and to understand You know, agency has some rules around it, and offers have rules around them. And knowing those rules before you sit down with the client is imperative, so
Right.
that you know how to best protect them. And you know how to fill in the blanks. We're just glorified blank fillers after we get our license anyway. So you should know how to fill those in quite well.
Yeah, interesting, man. I didn't realize it was so much post, actually. You know, I knew there was a couple classes, but you know, I stay in my lane, I stay in my mortgage lane, and
Yeah.
I let you guys do what you guys do, right? So,
Well,
you
well,
know.
I'll say this though: the Real Estate Commission has recently emphasized more important the mortgage criteria. Chapter 11, I believe, is our lending and our financing chapter. We spent an entire day, almost a day and a half, on that subject alone. So our real estate agents do know a lot about mortgages or lending practices, but
Right,
they've never done it themselves.
right,
So that we leave that to you, but we do tell them a little bit about it. We don't go into so much about who the underwriter is and
right.
all those wonderful things, but we give them a general idea of what kind of steps the client has to go through in order to qualify for certain loans, things of that nature. And there are test
Gotcha.
questions about it, so they know a good bit, but they don't know half as much as what you know, having a
Right.
mortgage license. Forgive me, but if you hear that, the landscapers just came right up on my deck.
No, I didn't hear anything.
And the blower is right there. Okay, so I didn't know if it was here or not.
So
That's it.
I do have an additional follow-up question.
Sure.
When you do get licensed, you pass your tests, right? Your pre-license, your post-license, all that. Do you have to, what type of, I heard there's MLS fees and there's this fee and there's that
Oh
fee.
yeah.
Like, so that's probably something that many people don't know that they have to pay to be a part of, or realtor. I know you are a stickler when it comes to that word.
I don't let
So
students say it's a 3-syllable word. It's realtor, 2 syllables.
realtor, right? So I
Realtor.
give
And
it.
anytime they come in and they say it, they do 3. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And it's really funny because in the class they said, Angie, you gotta stop doing that. Or Rob, you gotta stop. You're saying 3 syllables. And I think it's fun to have humor with it. So I suggest that they go to YouTube. You know, Ellen DeGeneres and Reese Witherspoon and Chris, one of those guys. The 3 Chris's. I can't remember the last names, but they did a spoof on agents who can't say the word realtor correctly. And it's just funny as all get out. And I think when you show people that, then they really pay attention to, are they saying realtor or are they saying realtor? It's realtor. Realtor. 2 syllables. And then when sponsors come into classes, they use realtor. I look to them. No, don't do that to pre-licensed students. You're going to mess them up. Do not say 3 syllables, 2 syllables. Just stuff like that. Have fun with it. And then people start to mind change.
Gotcha.
If you learned a word incorrectly, then it's going to take you a while to learn it correct. So you got to change it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, well, I know that that's a hot button for you. That's why I threw that out there to you. But
and realtors, and not everybody. You indicated this in the stem of your question. You said that realtors, not all licensees are realtors, and that's correct. Like commercial agents don't need to be realtors. One of the main things about having a realtor status is the membership benefits that you get with National Association of Realtors, NAR, and North Carolina Realtors Association, and then your local MLS, the Multiple Listing Service. So those 3 entities comprise your realtor's status. Once you join all 3 entities and you become a member of that, then you're allowed to call yourself realtor. Interesting fact, I will tell you this. It's fun knowing what I know and getting into the grip, into just all the weeds with it all. I like to take business away from people. I'll tell you how I do it. I do it by being the 3rd real estate agent that goes to the interview for the seller or for the buyer. Oftentimes people say they interview multiple people. Let me be your last one. Because what always happens is they'll have their business cards out on wherever we're meeting on the table, and I'll see their business cards, my colleagues' business cards. And it's so easy for me to do this, Angelo. I just look at those business cards and, oh, I'm so glad you met them. Yes, they're really good, competent people. Too bad they can't advertise correctly. I wonder if they're going to advertise their house correctly because that business card is not correct. I thought, well, what do you mean it's not correct? What do you mean it's not correct? And most people don't know this. They don't pay attention to it. The word realtor has to be in all caps, and it has to be followed by the copyright R. And the only thing that can go in before the word realtor is the state abbreviation in which you are a realtor. So many people do like broker / realtor. Oh, please don't do that. Please don't do it. Or they do South Carolina / NC for North Carolina, realtor, circle with R. Please don't do that. The / means everything is interchangeable. North and South Carolina are not interchangeable. So it's these little persnickety details that if you pay attention to it, I can take your business away from you like that. So all I have to do is to instill a little bit of doubt into that potential client of yours to make them mine. And it's the easiest way to take a listing from somebody. And I have made some enemies because I can do it that way. So I teach people that. I teach them, look, the code of ethics and the standard of practice say the only thing that can go before the word realtor is the state abbreviation, which you are the member. And then I show them, remind them about good grammar. / means it's interchangeable. The ampersand sign, the and, that would be appropriate for North Carolina and South Carolina. And just if you have 3 or 5 licenses, it's called a comma. Use the ampersand sign towards the 4th and the 5th one in between them. So it's funny. It's funny, to be that specific. But those guidelines are pretty critical and they're important enough for us to know. And I can make myself look very good to a client knowing those little details like that.
Yeah.
And then when people come to pre-licensing and they start getting those little small details, they have the aha moments, and then sponsors come in with our classes for lunch and whatnot, and they hand out their business cards. Oh, it's drooling. My students are like, all right, come school them. What's not correct on the business card? And they can do it. They can do it. And they're all my sponsors are like, I didn't know I was going to get called out. I was like, yeah, you come into my class. You got to be doing the business right because they're pre-licensing people. And that's what they need to know is how to do it correctly. So I enjoy that. I mean, it's just fun and making people remember what it is that they know.
Right.
Because my thing that I find a lot, Angelo, is that people want business and they want people to come and use them for buying or selling real estate. But yet they don't tell them that they can help them buy and sell real estate. And what way can they help them? People keep their mouths quiet. They're like, a lot of people don't know how to advertise themselves and market themselves. And boy, that's a way to dead end in real estate. You've got to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. You got to get out there and let people know what you know.
For sure. Yeah. It's all about, a lot of it's marketing.
Marketing, advertising, being comfortable in video, working, things through and, stop believing that just because you couldn't do math back in the 8th grade, that you as an adult now can't do math now.
Right.
A lot of people think that, but no, we got to let go of that preconceived ideas.
So yeah, I guess good segue back to the math part. When it comes to the fees, like, I'm sure stuff changes from year to year, like the MLS, it's not just about getting licensed, right? There's other additional things that come to it. I have no idea what that is. And I'm sure that some people also don't know what that is. So if you want to maybe touch on that and we can
I'll touch it. It's going to depend on where they are in the state of North Carolina, exactly to what their actual fees will be. However, that being said, you're going to have a membership fee, a one-time joining fee to the National Association of Realtors. And I believe it's like $145. And then you'll have, that's just the membership fee. So just joining in is a fee. And then you have to pay an annual dues the same year. So you only do the membership joining fee one time, but then the annual dues is every year thereafter. And the first one. Then you have the state chapter of your Realtors Association that you must join. So ours is North Carolina Realtors. And then you have your local MLS. Most MLSs will allow you, the North Carolina Realtors has a membership joining fee one time, as well as an annual fee the next year and the first year. So you have some duplication of fees and people are like, well, why am I having to do this? It is how that's set up. And a lot of us have tried to change it, but a lot of us have been unsuccessful with it. The third component is your MLS. Each MLS is independently owned through, I think there's 15 jurisdictions in North Carolina, and they're trying to get them down to smaller larger jurisdictions. So they're making less jurisdictions. I think they're going to try to get down to 7 or 8. Nonetheless, those jurisdictions all have a fee themselves.
Wow.
And luckily they prorate it. So they're very nice. Like today's December 13th. We're almost at the end of the year. And so if you join the MLS now, you're not going to have that much of a payment. But if you join on January 13th, you'll be paying the whole year.
Right.
in essence. But they do prorate it all for you. So just depends on what time of year that you're joining in. Then you have to buy the super boxes or the lock boxes that we call them. And if even if you're just not going to use the technology of it and you're just going to use the code boxes, those are $19 or $29 a piece. So you have a lot of investment. So I typically tell people that they should be anticipating around $3,000 in those fees. Now that's a lot more than what they need. But I like being prepared for a large bill,
For sure. Right.
and then having to pay less. So and I tell them that. So each of them is just very different as to what they're going to experience. And then there's all, if they don't have an updated phone, or if they don't have a laptop that's current, they're certainly going to need to have some high technology because that's what clients are used to.
Right.
They're used to being, if I send you a text message, you reply. If I send you an email, you reply, and so you've got to have the systems in place to really allow your business to thrive and to let you go. I mean, just let you just soar. So many people are afraid of the first part of it. And I'm like, oh God, I love that. I love the newbie stuff. I love it. Because it's fun to see them, and then they're afraid. I was like, oh no, we're going to build up your ego. You got it. You're competent. Come on. And then I say this to them: nothing else. If nothing else, not that I'm all that good. I say, if nothing else, I trained you. So be confident in that. I told you what you needed to know. So own that about you, and you don't know everything yet, but you don't need to. That's what you have a broker in charge for,
Right.
And you have colleagues for. And so I love watching people just blossom and grow. I will tell you this: I had a student call me today. She's now 7 years into her broker real estate career, and she got her husband to join. So she took my class first, then her husband took my class, and both of them passed. But they're working together in a team, and they're moving over to another firm. And she was asking me, she said, I'm thinking about considering a BIC ship, becoming a BIC with a firm. And I told her, I said, I think you would be awesome at it. She said, but I've only had 7 years. I said, only 7 years? Look at the last 7 years you've just gone through in this real estate life. The last 7 years has been unprecedented for us. And she has done extremely well. Her husband's done extremely well financially. So all of that I love seeing that blossom. I love the growth. And she told me, she said, I had to call you just because I want to tell you, I think about you all the time, because if it wasn't for you and how you taught me, I just wouldn't be doing this the right way. And she said, I've known enough about educators now around North Carolina, and some of them are really good. Some of them are better than you, but some of them aren't. And they're like, yeah, I get that. And she said, but thank you so much, because you helped me begin my career. And then her husband got on the line and said, listen, dude, about once every 2 weeks, we thank you. We may not tell you, but we thank you. We thank God. We thank everything. And thank you for letting us know this, because they went offers earlier. They know how to fill out the offer, and so many things can take advantage of it. So it's important to me that I have that in my life, because if I don't feel that my life is purposeful, then they're not going to feel like their life is purposeful. I'm building on the shoulders of the people who have come before me as well. I didn't learn all of this by myself. Sure. I learned this by other people training me and teaching me. And I was quite successful in real estate and still am. And so I just want to pass it forward, because that's what we all need to be doing. And that's how you and I have done it for the past almost 20 years. Is every time I know something and you learn something, we give a call to each other.
Right. So
that's just what we do. And I like that part of it. But I love seeing people flourish. I love people blossom. And man, I think it's a kick. So I really, really like it. So I'd say, even though the expenses are high, the rewards are even greater.
Right.
So my reward is what I'm telling you, but their reward is all of their financial success. Now, she did tell me this too. She said she has a daughter that's going into college this year. I said, oh, okay. How are you? She said, it's already paid for. I went, yes. I was thrilled for her. She said, you're right. We can make a lot of money pretty quick. And they've been fortunate in everything that they've done. So it's all possible. You just have to work diligently, work hard, and you can do it. And so it hurts a little bit at the beginning because of the money. It does hurt to have $3,000 sitting aside. Who wants that bill? Well, nobody wants it. But it's the cost of doing business if you're going to do residential. Now, if you're not going to do residential and you don't need to be a realtor, forget all these fees. If you go into commercial, brokerage, or if you go into land brokerage, land, you still may need the MLS, but it's not necessary. If you go into special purposes, you don't need to become a realtor. You get to decide that. So if you don't have to be a realtor, certainly don't do it. One of the main benefits that most of us do it for is because we want to sell residential real estate. And we all use the multiple listing service in order to advertise and to promulgate that all throughout the country. So sites like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com, all of those,
all those big ones,
all of those other sites feed off of the multiple listing service. And so your clients are used to doing that. You better have some accounts on there for yourself so you can own your own listings and whatnot. And then pulling it accurate information. So it hurts at the beginning for all those fees, but dude, it is so worth it. But if you don't have to have it, don't do it.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, Bruce. Well, man, I want to thank you for your time. As always, you are a wealth of information, my man.
Oh, Angie, I do this any day with you of the week, whatever you want, dude, because we're easy doing this.
Yeah, this is good stuff. But yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do it again soon. Just want to thank you for your time. So where can people find you, Bruce?
AspireBeyondLimits.com. ASPIRE Beyond Limits. The
Awesome.
Aspire means Agent Success Programs in Real Estate Beyond Limits. So it's an acronym that I have. AspireBeyondLimits.com. Yep, you can reach me there. And I appreciate it all the time, and take care of yourself.
All right, brother. Until next time, man. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right, bye-bye.